I was a department head in a hospital. I cut hair part-time. I worked with a doctor, several doctors and nurses and so forth. I trained a lot of medical students, nursing students. And every day, a certain doctor would come in and just have a real bitch of an attitude with me for no reason. I don't know if I reminded him of somebody, which of course made me react to him to the point where he would just literally just disrespect me to my face. Kind of power tripping a little bit. I was much more easily replaced than he would. If someone got fired, it would take longer to replace him than it would to replace me. So I kind of knew my place. I knew where I stood. So I went to the vice president of the hospital. There was the president, several vice presidents, and then department heads. I was a department head. And I talked to the VP, who was a friend. And there was a situation where I was 100% correct. And this prick of a doctor was 100% wrong. But he was valued much more than I was. And I'll never forget the advice. And I had 100% facts on my side about an incident. And it was just administrative stuff. And the VP said to me, he says, if you want to go down this route, it's going to be kind of hard. It's going to get messy. And the reality is, he's valued more in the scheme, in the corporate scheme of things, because he's harder to replace than you are. Those were the exact words. Another reason why I hate the corporate world. He says, but this is what I would suggest. He said, make him your friend. I said, what? He says, make him your friend. You'll be able to negotiate and work things out better with a friend than with an enemy. And man, did I dig my heels in the ground on that. I said, well, what should I do? And he goes, whatever you have to do. I said, okay. So the next day, the doctor came into my office because he had to check into my office several times a day. And he had a turquoise and sterling silver belt buckle on. And a turquoise and sterling silver like bracelet, like a Southwest jewelry, you know, those turquoise rings and a little tie bar thing. And I said, wow, I really like your belt buckle. He stopped for a second. Stopped, looked up and said, oh, I made this. I said, no shit. And he goes, yeah, I made this too. And I made this ring. And he says, I'm a silversmith on the side, and I love working with silver and turquoise and various stones. I said, no kidding, that is amazing. I said, you are really creative. Yeah, thank you. So he went on, did his whole thing. The next day, when that doctor came in, he came in with a wooden case, about the size of a briefcase. Came in, and he had to sign in my office. I was an administrator. And he puts this thing down on my desk, and I thought, okay, what's this prick going to say to me now? And he opens up this wooden case, and he says, this is some of the stuff that I make. And he showed me belt buckles and bracelets, and I thought, wow. Literally, I was genuinely impressed. I said, that is really, really something. I go, you are really talented. That is, how do you do that? And he started describing the methods in which he makes this jewelry, which he was more passionate about than the medical profession. I will never forget that. From that point on, the doctor and I got along like we had been friends for years. I went back to my friend who was the vice president of the hospital, and I told him what happened. He just smirked and smiled. He goes, it's easier to do business and negotiate with someone who you make your friend than to play hardball. There's a lesson in there for you. Let that sink in. Put some comments down below, please, if you want to add to that or comment. You can use that in your life. Thanks for watching.